Okay, getting straight into it, my gems. So, with the eyes, we already did skin prep and we did the brows. Now we are on to the eye makeup. And with the eye makeup, we have concealers we could use for a base. My best advice would be to go for a drier concealer that doesn't have a lot of oils in it that could disrupt your eyeshadows throughout the day. There's also eyeshadow bases that can help crease proof longevity of the eyeshadow. You can also go in with a color paint like the color cases, or like a potted primer, or like a eyeliner, like the Maybelline Tattoo Studio. Black bases were very common. The black base helps the pigment show up more. Like if you wanted a sparkly, I'm going to use this palette for the eyes. So I want to show you. I'm going to put my finger into Pretty Kind on 2 fingers. One's going to be on the base and one's going to be off. So just watch like that. And then you put it over that base and it kind of shows up a lot more and it's very prominent. With a white base like this is the P. Louise Rumor Zero. So it's just white. We're going to put some down and then let it dry. And then I'm going to show you. So on a white base, clean finger here, I'm just going to smooth it out, thin it out, let it dry, and then put the pigment on there. So the pigment's there. It goes there. A white base would be more so for like your neons and your pastels to show up true to what's in the pan. Another way to help boost your colors is to use a matching base, whether it be a gel pencil that can dry really quickly or a color paint to match very closely or exactly the color of the eyeshadow to boost the color and emphasize it more. I just put it over that. I'm just going to use a fresh finger and put a little bit more on it because that was just the remnants of what the other two were. And I'm patting it on because it's not all the way dry. Oh, there we go. See how it shows what's basically that, just there. And then here would show it more. It gives it a base to show up more defined. Now on skin tone, that just canceled out anything discoloration on you, so it shows up more what it would show on your skin tone. So pick a based on what your desired look is. I'm just trying to get a lot of the fallout so it doesn't just fall on my clothes if I go to wipe it off. So that's the colored bases. So depending on your look, whether you want to go and emphasize the color, the black base really stands out. Like if I wanted a glitter to show, or if I wanted a shimmer shadow to show, I would put a little bit of black base down and then put that. I really like it for like the iridescent colors, but the black is basically there to help emphasize anything. Skin tone primers will cancel out like veins or discoloration on your skin to even everything out. A clear base will pick up your skin underneath, and it's basically like a wash of color over your skin tone when you put a shadow on top. So that's like if you have a drier foundation or a drier concealer where the oils don't pick up and won't disrupt your shadows, you can go for it. I would use like a potted concealer and then set it with a good setting powder before going in. If you don't know how much oils your product have, take a little bit, put it on a napkin or a paper towel and let it sit for 30 minutes to a couple hours based on how long you think you'll wear your makeup day to day, and it will show you how much oil is in there. Or you could just, there's tests on YouTube. I'm sure there's a lot of creators on YouTube that did that. I know a few. So now that we got bases out the way, I am going to use the P. Louise Base Pro in Rumor 2, which is closer to my skin tone for this look. And I wanted to show you on the palette, I use about that much. It's the tiniest little bit. And I use a flat brush like this. It's a flat but densely packed brush that I know I spread the product out, make sure it's even on the brush. And I start cleaning up under my brow. Just swiping it, and then the rest of the way I pat it down to create an even layer across my lid. See how it just kind of cancels out? I have a lot of veins that show through, and it's a smidge darker than the rest of my eye. It's not a lot. I'm not saying it's a lot different, but it cancels out a lot of the veins and the bluish purple tint to my eyes. See how it's a little bit darker than my skin? I like to even it out. And now my entire eyelid is even out. And ready for shadow. Okay, we're going to use the Dominique Cosmetics Essentials palette. And I'm going to dip into a few of the colors. I'm going to make a really easy eye with just like 2 brushes. Taking a brush, I'm just going to go into this shade that's similar to this, just to kind of dry out and set the eyeshadow primer with this blending brush. It's medium fluffy, so it's packed to help with the pigment, but it's also going to evenly distribute it, and it's going to also help with blending too. So I'm just setting the primer. That color kind of brightened the eyeshadow primer I used, but also it set it so I could just do this, talk to you as much as I want, but it's not gonna crease. And then taking that same brush, taking off any pigment, and I'm gonna go into Mi Amo. So I'm gonna go into this color. Just tap, 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 getting off all the excess. And okay, I want to show you this, and then I'm gonna shut up. So when I open my eyes, you see how I have very little lid space. I close it. You would think, you know, my actual crease is right here. My brush, I'm gonna put it on the side, is right here, right above it. See? So my actual crease is underneath. I'm making a faux crease. And how I do it is the bottom of the brush is here. How I have it angled is up, and I just sweep back and forth. My hand is on the back of the brush. That way, it's easier to blend, but I have less control over it. If your hand is right here, you do have more control, but the harsher the line's going to be. So I'm using it going kind of into the front of my brow. If I relax it, it's into the front part of the brow. And then I bring it back in windshield wiper motions, laying down where I want the shape. take it a little bit more, tappy tappy, and just connecting the bottom. This is how I do mine. We're just creating the outer part of it. See, I'm making a V going from where I made the crease. When I open my eye, you could see it, the crease. You could kind of see the line of where I put it. It's sitting right on the crease. And then being that I'm using not, the pressure I'm using is not that to where it's all bending. I'm just brushing it against lightly just to give it a wash of color. And also just blending it out so there's no harsh lines. But it's making the shape I want, which is bringing out the eye. Because I want this eye shape to match this one. Even though we're not doing makeup on this one, this is how I match the shape. This one I don't have to exaggerate it so much. But if you ever want to make sure like your creases are good, you kind of blend it back to see where it looks and how it looks. And a tip to make sure your eyeshadow looks the same, like to match. I am right-handed. This hand, I do my left side first, then I do my right side. Since my left side, I do whatever I want, and then it's easier to match on this side with my dominant hand. Once I get this, I'm like, yeah, okay. Like with the wings, that's how I get it, and I will talk more about that later when it comes to a liner. But we're just going to do that, and then I'm going to take flat brush. If you wanted to use the other one that we laid the eyeshadow primer with, you just wipe it on a towel, paper towel, wash rag like I got. This is a clean wash rag that I grabbed, by the way, before the video. And I'm going to dip into Grateful. And just tap, 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 tap. See how it's just a wash of color. And remember that trick I showed you at the beginning? If you wanted it to pop more, you would just put a black base underneath it to show up even more. But I'm just doing this to where it's a wearable daytime look. And then I would just put on the thinnest bit of liner, which I'm about to do. I just want to show you what you can do if you want it to pop more on the outside. I'm going to take a denser brush to what I just used. See the difference? A little bit denser on this one. And I'm going to go back into Mi Amo. I'm going to go back into this one. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And then I'm just going to go back in. Slightly more pressure. And I'm just using circular motions to drop the pigment and going into the crease, like my actual crease. Again, this is where my crease is, and that's where my brush is going in, really digging into their circular motions. And then going back into the first brush, not picking up any more pigment. And just going back and forth, back and forth. And this is no cuts, so that you can see it. Even though I understand this is not live, I'm not editing how I do this, so you could see in real time how I'm doing it. But also, you can see how quickly it took me to get that. Now we are on to liner. There's a lot of different liners. But the eye look is done for now. We got gel pencils, regular sharpenable pencils. We have regular sharpenable pencils. We have automatic wind-up gel pencils. They both dry. I like getting the ones that dry down really good to put in the waterline. We have color cases to line with these. They don't move once they set, so you could grab something like this. But I understand we're mad at Mitchell. I'm just using up what I have. something that's long lasting. I would look for, regardless if you're oily skin, dry skin, whatever, makeup is personal to everyone, meaning the products you like, but also how you like it on yourself. We have this, we have liquid liner if you're a beginner, eyeshadow liner. But we're gonna line the waterline with this pencil. This is the Maybelline Lasting Drama Matte Automatic Crayon in Jet Black. So black and brown liners are very common. You could use any color liner you want. I like brown on softer days, and then I like black when I want just a little bit of drama and definition. I'm using black today to make sure it shows up and it can show you. I kind of pull down my waterline a little bit, drag it in, drag it out. Same thing up top. Now, for the actual line, you can do it a couple different ways. You can use an angled liner and eyeshadow, and I'm going to show you with a pencil how I do a very simple line. See how lining my waterline, it's already there. It made my lash line look a little bit fuller compared to this side. See? So if you're not sure, you just take your lashes like that, lift it up so you can see the waterline underneath, and just wiggle. It's gonna tickle, especially if you're not used to it. Another good tip is just to close your eye and just run the pencil like that. Now it can look terrifying, but we're gonna do that. I'm gonna dry it off just a smidge to get off the wetness. I wipe my eye because if I play with my eye too long, it cries. It waters. So we're going to close, and I'm going to ever so slightly wiggle it right next to a lash. See, I'm in my lashes. I'm able to move them. I'm just going at the base of that with my pencil. See, I'm just wiggling it in there to kind of define my lash line even more. And if you want a really, really, really sharp line, where's a liner brush? I'm going to take this liner brush and kind of run it across the pencil. And then we're going to take it and just drag it. Take your time. If you need a blink, take the brush off your eye. You would think I wouldn't have to say that, but sometimes people forget what they're doing when they blink. And just run it ever so like that. And if you wanted a little, it's nice to find if you wanted a little extra drama and draw a wing. I'm going to show you with this brush. This is a Define Liner brush. I got this brush set off of Amazon. It came in a set. I can't even remember the name of the company. But it was basically a dupe for a couple of the Morphe brush sets. So I take it. I open my eyes to where my eye normally is, looking at the mirror. Hand on my face to steady. And I go from the middle, drag out, and then connect it from the very, very corner of my eye. Going to connect it. Going a little bit past it. And since I have hooded eyes, if I go any higher than that, it would go on my lid and creating like a little wing that you see when there, but it comes out looking like that, but just longer. But there's a little baby wing, and this eye is perfect for like quick everyday things. It's connected right there. Do a little drag. Very easy. And then for mascaras, we have our blacks, we have our browns. This is a tinted primer I'm going to use just to show you. This is the Maybelline Sky High Lash Sensational. If you wanted to curl your eyelashes, I'm just showing you if you wanted to. My eyelashes, once I put on mascara, I'm normally good. My eyelashes kind of just go down. They're just long to where when I do put mascara on, I use a waterproof. And if you curl your lashes and you really want to stay, use a waterproof mascara. But you would take it, close your eye, wiggle it on, open. I go at the base and I just give it a light tap. I'm not squeezing it too hard to where it could come off. And just go up a little bit at a time, angling it away from your face. And it curled it. And then you just take your mascara. Don't do that 1,000,001 times. Take your mascara, wipe off the excess because a lot of product goes on the wand. That's the wand of the Sky High mascara. And then I very gently back comb. And this technique I use for all, whether it's this tinted primer. And I use this tinted primer underneath the waterproof mascara a lot of times just to create bulk with my eyeshadow. Mascara. I don't expect my tutorials to be perfect, mind you, if you're wondering. So I just make sure to coat front and back of everything to make sure it's fully coated, fully saturated. And when I go underneath, I push up, but I look down. And if you're worried about it catching, like the mascara running onto your lids, you could put a paper towel down or like your finger and really make sure to do that. If you do get mascara on your eyeshadow, let it dry. And then run like a spoolie very, very, very lightly across your eye. And then just go back in with your eyeshadow. But wait till it dries fully. Otherwise it's gets much. But there's top. And I'll be right back with the rest of my face to do the bottom. Okay, going back to the eyes, we are going to take a smaller brush. If you don't have a smaller brush, you could just take your previous blending brush and just use the absolute tip and maybe just a little bit aside. But I am going to use a smaller blending brush to get the underneath. Now that could be whatever you want. Typically it would be the same color you used in your crease, and since we only used one color from here, we're just gonna dip in. Remember, I used one color just to, and I didn't coat the entire brush. I just coated that side, and I'm gonna flip it up like this, put it under. I like to tip my face down into the mirror and place this underneath right here. I start off at the center and kind of make a little wiggle and go out, and I drop it a little bit lower. And then in, I press more towards the inner part of the eye, depositing the color. Now you could just go straight across if you want, but this is how I like to do it. And then I go further down after. I just a little bit more tappy tap. And I just connect it to the shape I did up there. And the inside, I really press along the line. There we go. Like that. And then that's how that looks straight. And then if I wanted to go straight out, it would just be the same thing, but you're just, instead of pressing in towards the eye, you're just down. And you could do this just to blend it into any powder that you laid down beforehand. Like that. The differences in this side of the face versus this side, it's a little wild to me, because like the skin looks like skin and then the eye looks bigger. Even though a lot of people say black makes the eye smaller, comparing it to the no makeup side, the eye stands out more. That's why I like the black liner. My eye stands out a hell of a lot more. That's just me. Now, if I wanted to darken up slightly using the same palette, I would dip into another color or go in with a denser brush. I am going to use this pencil brush. It's the very smallest brush, and I'm going to ever so slightly kiss the black. See how it's barely on there? And just go in towards the outer part. Just so it changes the color of the purple, darkening it without it being like, oh, it's black. And I'm just going to do the same to here. Since it was a pencil liner, I'm just like smoking it out and kind of making a V. Again, it's just changing the hue of it. Going in with the original blending brush and circular motion. See how I'm literally, but my hand's all the way to the back. It's less control of the brush, but it's a better blend. Like that. And all I need to do is bottom mascara, and then I'm done with the eyes. Now to do bottom mascara, I'm taking the mascara I did for the top, brushing off all the excess. And again, I'm going to angle my face down, and this is where you see a lot of people, that way it doesn't touch the bottom. Again, you could use something to go underneath. I just go down. When we did top, we went up. We're just doing the opposite, just so it doesn't touch. And I just go straight on top. I don't back comb like I did the top. Like that. And then once it dries, I'm going to go through with the spoolie sometimes and check out any clumps. That's a little tip for you if it clumps to create it, but I like it like this. Really, my eyes. But that is all for the eye look. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.